talked a little bit about a little bit ago. We were talking about the the prospect of like men having long hair and like wearing rings and tattoos and all that stuff. Like, um, I don't know, bro. Like, what do you think is like the reason for why that got so much hate for like men having them and stuff like that?
I feel like it. I feel like it comes from old dogmas. Kind of from I don't know. I don't want to be hated, but like kind of like baby boomer concepts. I feel like is like more like a woman's got to be like a woman, a man's got to be like a man, but it's not like that anymore. And people are opening up their minds to like we have masculine and feminine attributes, like all of us. It's just some is more predominant in different people, and I don't know. There's this one story that makes me think a lot that my old stepdad told me. Um, he was really good at baseball, and he went to Northrop in like the late '80s, early '90s, and he had long hair. And his coach basically gave him an ultimatum, like you can't play on the team with long hair. Like you have to cut your hair, or else like, I won't let you be on the team. And he was like, well, I guess I ain't playing baseball anymore. And I feel like I feel like we could thank a lot of musicians for breaking those boundaries for men to wear like different clothes and wear jewelry and have long hair.
I kid you not, on the car ride here, I was literally like, we all were like conceived by a male cell and a female cell. You know what I mean? We are both masculine and feminine beings just by nature. And so it's ridiculous to me to like to for anybody to think like that's you're like you're too feminine or you're too masculine. It's like, well, everybody has both. You know what I'm saying? And some are more in touch with that other energy than the other energy. You know what I mean? So it's like some men are more in touch with the feminine than other men, and some women are more in touch with the masculine than other females. And it's like, and that just is what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, but like what everybody should understand is that like that there's nothing wrong with that. Like we come from a male and a female cell.
Yeah. Like, I even think of honestly. I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I think there's a God in like the universe, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like it's something like we can't understand, and I feel like we can't call it a he or a she. I feel like it's either both or it's just a it. Like it's like
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, bro. Like I think it's so crazy to me that as human beings we try to understand God. I love that you said I don't think it's anything that we can understand, because why would we be here if we understood everything?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What would be the point? What would be the point if you got thrown into a video game and you knew how it was going to end? Or you knew like what all was going to happen before it happened? I mean, sure, you'd find comfort in knowing, oh, like this is going to happen down the road or whatever. But that takes away from the challenge of the video game.
Right.
You know? So.
And I feel like also, man, even atheists are religious.
Loki.
That's a religion. Like it's and to say like I mean, no one knows for sure if there's no point or if there's a point. But I feel like I don't know. That's why I don't claim any religion, and I like to read different theological texts like Christianity and Hinduism, like the Bible or the Bhagavad Gita. And there's the Riga Veda, and there's I like reading about Toltec stuff, more nature-based religions like Shintoism. I feel like every religion's got like a little puzzle piece to like the answer to life. I feel like
exactly, bro.
Yeah.
I was just on a podcast with somebody I met online. Her name is Sydney Davis. We just did a podcast last weekend. I was just telling her because she asked me what I identified as religion-wise, because she identifies as an atheist, but she's willing to change her mind with evidence or with more information, research, things like that. And I told her, I guess I'm like an omniist. Like I learned that word from my friend Tyler, and which means like omni all.
Yeah.
So like I guess I believe, like you said, I think there's a little bit of truth in everything.
It's 6
And
o'clock.
There it is.
6 o'clock.
Yeah. Thank you. Got it. And then I think you just like for me, I just take bits and pieces of what feels like truth to me. I'm big on intuition, like
Oh man, me
gut
too.
feeling and mentality, like in my head, like not in my head even, because I think our brains do like a lot of crazy shit. But yeah, I definitely am big in intuition. If you feel it in here, if you feel it in here, those are things that will tell you. Those are good tools, and it will lead you to your own individual path, because nobody's path is the same.
Right.
And I think it's crazy to try to box everybody into one singular thing, because everybody's different.
And what you said is so real about listening to like the gut and the heart. And I ain't a scientist, but other people, you can look it up if anyone's wondering. But the heart and the stomach communicate more with the brain than the brain communicates with the heart and the stomach. So it's like they have their own brains.
That's wild, bro.
It's crazy, and there's our stomach produces the most serotonin than any other part in our body, or at least a large amount of serotonin comes from our stomach, and that's the happy molecule. So like that is a big reason why like you eat good and you feel good, or you eat like shit and you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And like it's that simple, man. I feel like people don't realize. I was just talking to my buddy about this the other day, that like nature is like the void that we're all missing in our soul.
Absolutely.
And it's the most obvious choice, therefore it's the most oblivious choice, and it's why those words sound so similar.
Also, I'd seen that you posted, pertaining to the heart, you had posted something on your Instagram that I really liked. It was talking about like electromagnetic frequencies or whatever, things of that nature. Like we can literally feel each other.
Oh
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
no, the electromagnetic field of our heart has a 2-mile radius.
Absolutely.
And there's I feel like that backs up that like like I feel like we all want to like change the world, and we all want to like save the world, but like we can't change other people. We can only change ourselves. And like when we raise our frequency, like that heart vibration, the 2-mile radius, like it affects everyone else around us.
Absolutely.
And I feel like we're all more psychic than we think. And I really like this book called Everyone is Psychic, and it's based on Edgar Cayce philosophies, who was a psychic and occultist from the early 1900s, I believe.
Yeah, I'm big into like the way our bodies affect the people around us. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I used to get so angry like when people wouldn't like work on themselves, or like realize that like, hey, if you want to see changes, like you have to be the change that you want to see. Like,
right.
And you hear that so many times in movies and stuff like that, and songs like Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, all that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like, it's true. You know, if you start changing the way you think, act, you start to impact people around you. And it's so simple. And like, this is another thing I talked about on the podcast before with my friend Ashley. It's like people take for granted how groundbreaking the simplest of exchanges with other human beings can be. Like the simplest of things, like literally just like holding the door for somebody, or just saying please and thank you, just asking somebody how they're doing, like how they're actually doing.
Right, and say it like you mean it.
Like you mean it, instead of just being like, how are you doing? Good. You know what I mean? And moving on about stuff. It's like, no, if you actually like try to get to know people, like that's how we change stuff.
Now, I like to tell people too, I'm like, I'm not good, or like I'm like not having a good day, because I feel like everyone feels compelled to just say like good, or like, like the basic like response. But yeah, man, it's a fucking crazy world.
It is, bro.
I can't say it enough.
No, I agree, dude, and that's a perfect segue because it's like, I think, especially for men, it's so hard to admit when we're not having good days, to admit when we feel like shit, or
Right.
you know, we feel sad. It's like, because the world has, like, people say that women are objectified, but men are equally as objectified, but people don't want to admit that.
Right.
Because
right.
a man, the measure of a man is what he provides in society.
Man, I swear, I've said this before to many different people, and is I feel like it's hard to accept, but it's so true. I feel like as a man, if you don't have status or money or like some form of like job security or house security or a nice car, I feel like no one will give you the time of day.
Exactly.
Unless you have something to offer and provide. But I feel like in the same breath, that's how it's meant to be. Like the yin and the yang energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like the yang energy is the masculine energy, and it's meant to give. It's active energy. It's outward, like I don't know, in the pure sense, just masculine energy, and then the yin is just like receiving, like it just receives. But that's why I feel like women are more emotionally intelligent than men are. And I feel like the more we can accept that we are different, like I feel like the more we can make progress with each other. And I feel like being in like a serious relationship for the first time in my adult life has really opened my eyes to a lot of the differences, and it's challenged me to grow a lot as a man and like be able to understand and communicate with like the feminine energies more, because like being direct and like rational and logical doesn't always solve everything. And it's not to say that like women aren't objectified either, but it's like it's weird like how our culture treats men and women, and then we wonder why we're messed up, like or how we can't see eye to eye sometimes. Like when a man falls down in life, I feel like, you know, it's just like tough luck, like get your shit together, like no one's gonna help you really, but as a woman, I feel like they get more like it's okay, like I'll take care of it. But it's like double standards all the time.
Definitely.
You know, it's like I don't know how to explain. I seen this one post the other day. It was like this girl had messaged this guy like, "How tall are you?" Like, and he was like 6'1", and she was like, "Good." And then he was like, "How heavy are you?" And then she was like, "What? Like, why does that matter?" And then it was like, "Well, why did my height matter?" You know?
Exactly.
I don't know, man. I know this is controversial, but I'm kind of not all about like the body positivity thing, because like, you know, it's not like body positive to be beautiful or to be like very strong or like just like in amazing shape, but it's like body positive to be obese, and like that I feel like should be treated more like honestly like a disease. Like we're not meant to be like that. And it's like another like malicious thing I feel like we just like kind of accept in our society, where it's like, man, we're not meant to be like sick, we're meant to be healthy. And like I don't know, there's so many I feel like there's just so many dogmas that have like come out in like the last like 5 or 10 years that are just kind of like counteractive to us like being the best that we can be and accepting ourselves for like who and what we are. A lot of these movements I feel like are just like attention seeking, and it confuses us more. And I feel like there's an attack on like the feminine side of things, and there's an attack on the masculine side of things, and it's kind of turns us against each other. It's like it's not okay to be an alpha male. Like that is intimidating or arrogant. But really, it's just like confidence and just like that's. I feel like people misinterpret things with their own insecurities, and I feel like insecure people are some of the most selfish people because I feel like we all have insecurities, and victimizing ourselves is the lowest form of narcissism. I feel like I have a lot of controversial takes on shit, man.
No, I love to hear them, dude. Because, yeah, I'm right there with you on the body positivity thing. Because it's like, for me, I think one of the highest acts and forms of love is accountability. And, you know, if I sit here, Brandon, and you're eating like shit, and you're just, you know, just abusing your body, and you weigh like 600 pounds now, I'm not going to sit back and be like, oh, be positive. Like, no, you know what I'm saying, though? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, you're fine. Ignore the haters. Like, no, bro. Like, let's get you in shape because I want to see you feel better. You know what I'm saying? I want you to see you feel better about yourself. Let's go to the gym, Brandon. Let's go. Let's do this. You know, let's. I know you want to eat at McDonald's today, but let's go get something healthier today. Let's go eat clean. Let's go to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's accountability. And to me, that is love. You know what I mean? Like, as much as it may like offend the person in the moment because they just want to be comfortable where they're at.
Right.
Like, you gotta like get past that and be like, well, sure, it might hurt you right now, but like down the road, you may thank me because in the end, all I'm trying to do is help you out. Yeah. And you don't have to be super aggressive about it. Like, I'm not gonna be like, Brandon, you're fat.
Right,
you know, there's a way to say everything. You know, there's a way to do everything. You just gotta be respectful about it.
It's hard to talk about those things in the right way too, where it's not like too intrusive or offensive. And I feel like I have a problem with that sometimes. And I feel like I've been working on like getting better at approaching those sorts of topics without being overly offensive. But also, I feel like people are too damn sensitive.
Definitely.
Too. Like people can't people just take everything to heart, you know, and people can't be like, well, that's what he believes, but I don't believe that. You know, they have to like be an evangelist, like, and like convert them to their opinion.
Yes.
You know, it's like you can't be like, well, you have your opinion and I have mine, and like we don't agree, but like whatever.
Yes. And that's a disease too.
Man.
Yeah, man.
And I feel like me and my girlfriend was just talking about this the other day, like when people have opposing like perspectives, it's a great opportunity, I feel like, to not only open your mind but also reevaluate like our own opinions and stuff like that, and why we believe certain things.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. I feel like now I'm thinking of like conspiracy theories and like how people like scoff at them and stuff like that. And I feel like conspiracy theory is just like newspeak for critical thinking.
Yes.
And I fucking dare to say that there's conspiracy theories out there to make conspiracy theories sound stupid.
Yeah.
And there's and I get like people go over the top on both sides.
Definitely.
So I kind of like try and like take everything with a grain of salt, like whatever anybody says. And I feel like it's really hard to realize that like most everything we know is a fucking lie. Like the history, where we come from, like archaeologists have been discredited and destroyed and just ruined for uncovering like things about our past. Like archaeologists, I was just watching this Graham Hancock seminar, and he was going on about how humans have been found in North America like 20 to 30,000 years ago, opposed to the widely accepted dogma that nobody was here until like 10,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago, and they all came across the Bering Strait. But like, how do you explain these DNA triggers or these DNA signals in the deep of the Amazon jungle that are Aboriginal DNA signals, and you only find them in Australia, and they're not anywhere else along the trail of the Bering Strait all the way down to South America? I love the Edgar Allan Poe quote, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, dude. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the fact I'm not one of those people who like, I don't always have the facts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think that people should research things for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a lot of good conspiracy theories out there, and like conspiracy theory, the term conspiracy theories was actually like created by the FBI. Like you can look and like, I don't know, I can't quote you the specifics, but I know that the term conspiracy theory was created during a certain trial that was going on or something like that. You can look it up.
Mm-hmm.
I highly advise everybody to look that up. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean that word has infamously been thrown around by mass media to throw people off the trail of truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
it's like anytime that somebody is onto something, oh, they're a conspiracy theorist.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
people don't, they're crazy, and then nobody listens to them.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe me, this person with 49 subscribers on YouTube? Or are you going to believe CNN?
Right.
That's telling you I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like that word, that term has been used for a very long time to throw people off of catching on to society's bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, the movie, I was just talking to you about Avatar 2.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife and I were talking the other night about how, like, eerily similar it feels to, like, telling the story of early colonial America from the perspective of Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, say, the Avatar, the blue people, say that these are the Native Americans. And then you have the sky people, which are the humans, or in this case, in the story, they're they're us. They are the new founding Americans that have come into this, place. They act as though they are friends via the story of Thanksgiving. If everybody wants to look up the true story of Thanksgiving, they act like they're befriending these people, and then they basically kill them and take their resources, and they're trying to conquer this land and sell it selfishly, like sell things from their land for profit. So yeah, man, it's like you can take things from movies even, and I feel like things are subtly there. But yeah, that was a big one for me last night, because it's just like, if you can take the side, because I feel like pretty much, I think it's safe to say everybody who goes to see Avatar is rooting for, Jake Sully, the main character, right? The guy who's protecting his family, protecting his people. You know what I mean? So it's like, put yourself in the situation, in the perspective of the Native Americans that were here, and just believe that, took for face value that people were coming here just to befriend them and exchange goods and all that stuff, and then have your family murdered.
Oh, man.
And people take over your land.
Dude, I'm not a big fan of Thanksgiving.
Bro, I agree.
It's like, for years now, I like wear all black on Thanksgiving.
I feel that.
And I feel like I'm just genuinely not like in a good mood. I feel like it's kind of like I don't really want to. I don't even know if I'm gonna celebrate it next year, because it's like I feel like I forced myself to, because it's just like a cultural thing. But I feel like it's not a great day, because it like totally just overshadows the genocide of the Native Americans. And then like, what is it, like, we're thankful, and then the very next day we all go shopping at Black Friday.
Yeah.
Like, it's like we're thankful for what we just had, and now we're just gonna go buy a bunch of shit that we don't need. There's this one time in my sophomore English class where my teacher was like, if you think about it, every country that's risen to great power has started with a genocide. And this one girl raised her hand, and she was like, "Nuh-uh, what about us?" And me and the teacher were both just like, the Native Americans. And she was just like, oh. And it's just like, it just goes to show how, like, you know, no country is going to talk about their
Like their
negative
past.
doings. Like in Germany, like, they don't really talk about World War II very much. And we do the same shit here. Like, we don't really talk about the Native Americans very much. And I learned that the Native American word for the city of Fort Wayne was Kikianga. And that's a word that's is thrown around all over the place. You know, you see it on, it's a middle school. It's it's on one of the Fort Wayne, like, emblems. Another thing that I've come to realize is the Mexican race and Hispanic race is basically just Native American. It's assimilated Native American mixed with Spaniards. And if you think about it, there's no Mexican surnames. All the Mexican surnames are either like Spaniard, European, or indigenous. And it worked out like when the Spaniards arrived to the Central and South Americas in the 1400s, that there was like a few tribes of Native Americans that grouped with they sided with the Spaniards, and one of those tribes was the Mexica Indians, and that's where Mexican comes from. And all the tribes that wouldn't assimilate, they either ended up like getting dismantled and assimilating or just disintegrating. And there's still a decent amount of indigenous like culture preserved in Mexico. And when I was there, there's people that speak these indigenous languages still. And in North America, it didn't work out like that because the Native Americans in the States were a sovereign country until like 1845 or whenever the Emancipation Proclamation or whenever the end of Civil War was. It almost lined up very much the same, that when the Native Americans ended their sovereignty as like a sovereign land and sovereign nation, sovereign people, it was the same time that slavery was ended and the Civil War was ending. But because they were already pushed into these reservations and they never learned the American culture and they got a lot of empty promises, they were basically set up to fail. And now that they've been like assimilated, it's not like they're even their own people like Mexican people are. It's sad, and how it like happened and how it happened differently in both the places. And also had the realization that the three most influential European countries on the Americas was the French, the English, and the Spanish. And they were all three like in the United States at one point, having claim to lands. But at the end of the day, when it was all said and done, all the French history is taught in Canada, all the English history is taught in America, and all the Spaniard history is taught in Mexico. And that's why you have French Canadian and English American and Spanish Mexican. And I don't know, that those are kind of things that you just critically think about, and you just realize, like, you just put the puzzle pieces together and see how the history is just kind of divided, and history is told by the victor. And if you ever read 1984, you realize how much history can be manipulated to give us certain perspectives and make us think a certain way, and it makes me just question everything.
Yeah, I like the history of like slavery and segregation gets overlooked as well. Like, I heard a girl say, because last year, around Martin Luther King Day, Betty White died. Rest in peace, Betty White. But somebody had said, so at our job, people were talking about doing something for Martin Luther King Day or something because our job likes to do things for holidays or whatever.
Yeah.
And someone had said, "Oh, Martin Luther King Day is played out. Like Betty White just died. Let's do something for Betty White." And I was just like, what did Betty White do that makes her significant enough to have a holiday over someone who was a founding father in a movement that allowed equality for a group of people? You know what I'm saying? It's
I
just
feel like people worship celebrities way too
much, dude.
It's
right?
I love a lot of musicians. I like some actors, but I've never thought of them any more than that. Like it's just
They're people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah. And it's like we idolize these celebrities, and it's like, okay, cool. Maybe Betty White was in your favorite show or favorite movie, and she gave you hope and laughter during hard times. I respect that, but like she also didn't free people. Like you know what I mean? She also did not help people realize that they are also human beings in society and they deserve equality just like any other human being. That's something that I'm real heavy on too. It's just like at the end of the day, like yeah, like there is like really dark stuff that's happened between people because of their differences. But like we all, whether you want to admit it or not, we all bleed the same blood. We all are made up of the same cells.
Yeah.
I mean, not from a chemistry standpoint. Our cells are different because they're made up of different DNA strands and all that. But like we are all one species.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
It's like, and people fail to realize that. And there's so many like people overcomplicate and get all these like crazy narratives in their mind because they see all these differences. Right. They have a whole list of differences ready that their brain does because our brains by nature try to keep us safe, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they see, so a white person sees a black person and they're like, oh, danger. You know what I'm saying? Because they have a list of things that's happened in society or whatever. But it's like, if you calm down your nervous system, breathe, and reevaluate and just go to the simplest thing, human. And that is why I've named my podcast The Human Experience. You know what I'm saying? You fucking take down all the overly complicated things in the world and you break it all down and it's one. We're one species. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong or you're right or wrong. Like, I'm gonna respect you. You know what I mean? Like,
man, I've never really been a fan of the black versus white, or the idea of stereotyping because anybody can be anything. And I feel like at the end of the day, if there was an enemy, the real enemy is the elitists and like the fucking top 3%, 1%, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Like the people in power are shepherds, if you will,
making the most money feeding the narratives.
I feel like slavery never ended; it changed form, and I feel like segregation never ended; it just changed form. And I feel like we're still living in the same kind of world. It's just been made into a more PC kind of way. And so I feel like when we turn on each other, like, and they don't want us to get along. They don't want us to help each other. They want us to be distracted and fighting about our petty differences.
Divide and conquer.
And once we keep like that, we won't see what the real enemy is or who the real enemy is. But it's like a puppeteer behind a puppeteer behind a puppeteer. So it's like, how can you even make sense of it? And I feel like I've come to the conclusion that like all we can really do is just like be positive and be passionate and be excited and be optimistic. But at the same time, I feel like if you're too optimistic, you can't see the negative aspects or the real aspects. And I feel like uh, maybe things weren't meant to be like completely positive or completely negative. Like you need both of it, um, and it's all dependent on what you make of it. Um, like being alive can be your own heaven or your own hell.
I've heard that. Yeah, absolutely, bro. And I saw something the other day. I wasn't trying to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
But I saw something on Facebook the other day, and it was a quote that said, "The world needs both the optimist and the pessimist.
Mm-hmm.
The optimist creates the airplane. The pessimist creates the parachute."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, like, it's all about a balancing act, truthfully. I don't think, we can't. I wish we could shift into a world that's solely positive, but as badly as I feel like a lot of people would want that, it's just not realistic because you got to look at different aspects, So yeah, man.
We need the challenges. We need the adversities. And I feel like it's cliche, but like you need the lows to feel the highs. Like,
absolutely.
And I feel like it's all okay. I feel like, man, it's just if we forget about what things should be, we can see how things could be.
I don't know how you feel about Kanye West. I know a lot of people right now are like, Kanye West, he's taking a lot of heat.
Yeah,
right now,
he is.
But he has said some profound things at the same time.
No, for real. And I feel like people just like, you could say the wrong thing once, and then that completely fucking discredits anything you ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've been thinking like, I love Kanye West. I love his music. I love some of the stuff he says. I don't love some of the stuff he says. And I feel like I've been kind of realizing like, I feel like sometimes I'll slip into like idolizing like some of my favorite people, even when they say some like really, really bad stuff. But at the same time, I'll be like, man, he's exposing the fucking system for what it is.
Absolutely.
And that's why they're turning on him.
Yeah.
That's why the media will attack him. That's why when someone starts to get ruined, it's a sign that they're fucking exposing some shit, in my opinion.
Something. Yeah.
But in the same breath, I feel like the celebrities are part of the elitist class. And it's unfortunate to accept, or it's hard to accept that like even my most beloved musicians probably did some shady shit to get into the position that they're in. And it is I don't know. I feel like that also keeps me like from over glorifying people or overly accepting what other people are saying and want me to think, because I feel like at the end of the day we gotta just think for ourselves, and we can take in all these different perspectives and opinions, and I feel like as long as we don't lose track of like thinking for ourselves, like we'll be all right. And man, I honestly, it's funny like being on a podcast, because I hardly listen to podcasts. I hardly like watch the news or like keep up with what's going on with celebrities and stuff like that. But I kind of, it's hard to avoid it because you kind of get into it by osmosis. It's like all these people go on about these controversies that are happening, and I'm just like, it's probably a distraction for something greater going on.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what I think too, bro. But yeah, like Kanye stuff always pops up. Like it always seems like there's a story that pops up on the news when like something significant is going on as like a distraction. You know what I'm saying? So like usually when they're like Kanye West said this, everybody hate Kanye West. It's like, okay, well what's really going on? You know what I mean? Like who's getting screwed over? Like what policy has been in place that people are like would actually be irate about, And but all that aside about Kanye, like what I was gonna say was that he had said something that I really liked. Like in all of the educational systems, there are classes for history, but why is there not classes about progression? Like, why aren't there classes where people can think innovatively and be like, make suggestions? You know what I mean? So
Man.
that way, like, the world can actually progress instead of sticking to, okay, well, this is what we've known in the past, and we're just going to keep doing that over and over. And I was like, wow.
Man, that's fucking brilliant. I
It
never
is.
seen that shit. I never seen that. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's like, it's so profound. Like, why is that not taught? Why is that not implemented in our
And
school
why isn't
system?
that like in the news shots of like things that he said?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Why don't they show the things that are profound that Kanye West says?
Like, I don't even give a fuck what anybody says, like good or bad, because at the end of the day, I see it as just like another place for conflict to arise.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what it's made out to be.
Yes.
So I'm just like, man, fuck all the celebrities, fuck all them motherfuckers. Just love your commoner fucking people.
Yes.
Love your fucking neighbor, and like love the people that you work with. Like, why worry about like what's going on with the celebrities and in the world beyond us? And I feel like that's where technology gets us really fucked up. Is like we lose sight of the direct world around us because we have this multi-dimensional device that'll bring anything that we want to us, pretty much.
Absolutely.
I feel like people don't even realize, like, you know, if I like this idea that if you took somebody from the 1970s and like just directly placed them in the year 2023, they would probably have a brain aneurysm or like a heart attack because of how different things are and how much technology has changed.
Absolutely.
It's astounding that like the stuff that we have is like, it's magical, to be honest. Like, if a caveman saw this shit, he'd be like, you're a goddamn wizard.
Yeah.
You know? You can fucking just make fire like it's nothing, and you can have light like it's nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's another big thing on why like we've been preoccupied and just losing sight of like existing, because we have all these other things to worry about.
What a lot of people don't do is like question shit anymore. You know, I mean, it's almost as sad as it is. It almost has become scary to question shit.
Right.
You know, because it's like if you question something, you know, it's like, oh well, you're giving false information, so now like you're blocked on social media and stuff like that. So it's become kind of scary to question stuff. But it's just like, for me, I question a lot, and like certain things like celebrities or just like other people's opinions in general. Like, it's just like, how does that benefit me? And I don't think a lot of people like ask themselves that question, but I think it's a healthy question that everybody should ask. Like, what is that celebrity doing that I'm worshiping that is benefiting my life? It's like, yeah, like I have my favorite actors and you know, musicians and singers, rappers, songwriters, whatever. But it's like, I'm not going to like fixate on what's going on with their life, because at the end of the day, like, they're not feeding my family. They're not gonna, you know, they're not gonna shoot me a text encouraging me today. They're not gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, so I think people kind of need to step back into like just grounding ourselves again. You know what I mean? Like coming back down to earth a little bit and just being like, oh, yeah, like that person's cool, but they don't, you know, I'm not gonna have any impact on them. They're not gonna have any impact with me, on me. So like, I'm giving my energy to something that does not benefit the collective whole, that does not benefit another person.
Yeah.
Like you said, like my neighbor, like the people I work with, like my family. You know what I mean? It's like I'm actually just sitting here while, you know, and it could be something like while my family is like downstairs playing games, I'm like in my room scrolling on my phone trying to figure out like what's going on with this celebrity. It's like, bro, like there's, your family is down there. You could be making a memory with them. Like, I could be making a memory with my son right now, but instead I'm over here worrying about what Kanye West said. You know? And I think so many people lose sight of that, and I feel so bad. I feel like that's like why so many people are scared to have kids right now, truthfully. Because we grew up in a time where people didn't realize how important it is for children to have their parents and for their parents to be actively involved in their lives.
Right.
Because we're in such a capitalistic society where it's like, go get it. You know what I mean? Like, you want money, go get it. Like, go chase it. And it's like, for me, it's like I've slowed myself down enough to realize, like, at the end of the day, I don't get buried with that money. Like that, and that money sure as fuck won't remember me. You know what I mean? But like, what will remember me is like the people in my life. You know what I'm saying? So like, I totally have shifted my perspective of, I used to think that working was the most important to provide for my family, when actually I realized that my family is the most important, and then everything else will just fall into place.
Man, I love this idea that the most valuable resource or commodity that ever was is our time.
Yes.
And like the fact that we sell our time for a piece of paper is like it explains a lot, and like why people are fucking depressed and anxious and unmotivated, and like it's sad to see, man. And I feel like you either got one or two choices. It's like work and be comfortable, or like work, go beyond that, and then make your own life. And I feel like that's it's unfortunate how hard it is to like
achieve that.
Yeah.
It definitely, yeah, man, it is rough. But yeah, man, I think for me, like, I'm trying to do that. And even if, I fail, like, say, this podcast doesn't amount to shit. Say I end up stuck doing factory work my whole life. It's like, I'm never going to lose that perspective of knowing what's actually important.
Right.
Because I know I'm smart enough to know that the world is trying to throw everything at us that doesn't actually fucking matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like people are just like, you try to say these things to them and try to let them know like, hey, like there's actually more, you know what I mean? There's actually things more important than that. And they try to shut you out, and they're just like, no, this is the way that things are. Because, yeah, like you believe that because that's been beat into our brains and programmed in us so much by society.
Yeah.
But it's like, actually, no. And like, and bro, like people will, I'll hear all the time, like my children hate me, or like they don't call me, or we have a bad relationship or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, did you invest in them? Did you take time to get to know them and like actually like love them like for who they are, not for the image that you wrongfully placed upon them, the expectation that you placed upon them? Do you actually just love them for existing? And it's like, I wish that people would understand that how important that is, but like they just don't get it.
Man,
they just don't get it. They really think that.
Well, love has been completely romanticized, and I feel like ruined with like Hollywood, and like shit like that, and people don't realize that love is like,
bro, it's not.
One of the
love
most
is not
complex words that exists. Like,
yes, dude, love is not linear. That's where fucking Hollywood fucks shit up. Because this is not love. Love is, oh, cool, I feel really great, and then, oh, you pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? Right. That is like that is, if we're being honest, I'm not always happy with my wife or my kids. There are downs. But then I'm like, oh, okay, that was a down point. We're going to forgive each other. And now, we're good again. Smooth sailing. Man. You know what I mean? But that's love. That's like, we hit this low point right here. And then we realize that at the end of the day, it's all love. We forgive each other. And then we come back up here.
Right.
And just being solid, being solid with each other. That's what it is. It's like, realizing that it's not always, shit ain't always going to be gravy. You know what I mean? That's what love is. It's like, we're going to disagree about shit. We're going to get into it. We're going to butt heads sometimes.
Right.
But like, let's do it. You know what I'm saying?
Man,
like,
there's this song by The Temptations. I love this song. It's love can be anything, can nothing be love but love.
Yes.
And it's like, I feel like love is the main source of all emotions.
Yes.
All emotions stem from love. And, it's crazy. I like there's universal love, romantic love, self-love. It's love is real, man. And I feel like it's hard to live like that when you live in a me versus you kind of like society. Because I've been screwed over from being too nice, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that. Fuck, I wish I wasn't too nice all the time, you know. And it's why the hell do we even think like that? Like we should never second guess like being too nice. Like I feel like the world needs more of that, but it sucks. Like you gotta be like, as an entrepreneur, I've discovered that, you know, like sometimes being an asshole is like what you need to do.
You gotta do
know?
sometimes, yeah.
And it's like through all the shit that I've been through, I feel like I just I've lost sight of being like completely loving sometimes, and I've been just realizing that is single-handedly the most best thing I can do to contribute to the world in progression. It's hard, or it's easy to forget, man. It is definitely easy to forget.
It is.
And I feel like some people even like choose to be sad. Some people just like to be depressed. It's like another like it's another cry for, or it's like a cry for help, or it's like attention seeking or something like that. And I feel like another thing is like I feel like every person has like an archetype that they're meant to play out, and whether you mean to or not, like it's gonna play out for you. It's just like kind of like I don't know if it's like a soul contract thing or like whatever. And I feel like if you don't like look deep within yourself and like reflect on your childhood and like realize like what that archetype is, it'll either come to you or you'll like end up going down a road and it just won't work out, and you can't make sense of why things aren't working out, where it's like you're just wasting your time on the wrong thing or like the wrong like life purpose. And I feel like when things don't work out, it's a sign, you know. But at the same time, you gotta like keep on pushing if it's something you really want. So it could be one or two ways, and that's like a wisdom or judgment call. It's like, okay, is this a sign to like let this go and move on and find something else? Or is this a challenge to prove how much I really care about this and like how dedicated I am and how much I really, really want this or manifest this into my life?
I used to be like, I used to err on the side of judgment, you know? Like this hasn't worked in the past, so why would it work, you know, in the future? And you know, a lot of people will say like, okay, well I tried it for this long and it didn't work, so I'm just gonna give up. But I truly, truly believe that if you want it badly enough and you push hard enough, you will eventually get the benefit. You know, I truly do believe that. And I was just listening to a quote. I was listening to J. Cole speak on an interview today, and he said, "All right, what if you've been grinding and you've tried to put yourself out there 10 times, and on the 10th time you're like, well, I've tried 10 times. I've tried 9 other times before this, and it hasn't worked out, so I'm just gonna give up. But what if I told you that 11th time you would have made it? You know?" And it's just like, dang, like that really puts stuff in perspective. Like,
but we gotta face the fear of the unknown.
Of the unknown,
right?
Yeah,
it's
man.
like, and that's the real challenge, I feel like, and I feel like that's where the real rewards come from.
Absolutely.
I heard someone say one time, it's like, it's funny when you jump into the abyss of the unknown.
Yeah.
And then you land at the bottom and realize it's a big fluffy pillow.
Yeah, dude. like everybody thinks that their dream is like, just because it sounds glamorous, they believe that it's gonna be comfortable to get there.
Oh hell no.
No, bro. Do you think that like, and this is no knock on you, Brandon, bro. Do you think that I wanted to come here? You know what I'm saying? Like any podcast that I've ever recorded, do you think I wanted to like drive to somebody and set up this equipment and hit record and watch myself on a screen?
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because none of those things are comfortable. You know what I mean? But it's like, once you sit down and you're actually in it, you're in the unknown now. I'm in the unknown now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, this is dope. You know what I'm saying? Yes. But you gotta push past that uncomfortability, because once you finally do and you're in your dream, you're like, oh, I'm here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like right now with you, I'm here. Like,
Right.
but
Right.
I had to get through that. Oh, this isn't working. Oh, I only have 49 subscribers. Why don't I have more by now? Oh, I've been doing this for a year and nothing has happened from it. But it's like, bro,
It takes years.
Shut up.
Years.
it takes
years.
You gotta. I gotta keep going. Is what I try to tell myself. And I'm like, all right, shut up. And then I gotta listen here. Like, what do you want? Okay, you want to feel like you are running your own show. You're doing your own thing. You're helping people.
Making your own business.
Making your own
man.
business and helping people along the way and being genuine with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is what I want. Okay, so this is what I want, but this is saying all this these crazy ideas and foolishness of the past. All right, I'm listening here. We're going to go do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, shut up. We're going, you know? So,
I felt that before. What you just said, like, you think I want to be here right now? That's some real ass
It's
shit,
some real
bro.
shit, bro,
like,
right?
there's been multiple times where I'm like, fuck, like I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this show. I don't want to go and meet this person. Like, I just want to stay home and be comfortable. Like, it's my day off or whatever, you know. But it's like, I'm going to get my ass out of bed. I've been in bed for the last hour. It's 9 o'clock at night, but I just got an important text saying I got to meet this person. And this is an actual story of how I got the job at Grand Lane Convention Center.
Nice.
I was trying to get this job for several months, and it wasn't working out. I was texting the guy trying to get hired, and then my friend who referenced me was like, hey, like, come out to the show and meet this person. And it's like 9 o'clock at night, and I've been in bed, and I got work tomorrow morning, and like, I did not want to get out of bed and go do that. It's like maybe another day, but it's like there is no another day, man. One today is worth 10 tomorrows.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that was it was one of those things, like you just said, like, you think I want to be, man, I didn't want to be there. Like, it was like I fucking was standing around, like, I didn't go with anybody. I was just going there to like meet this guy and potentially, you know, get a job opportunity. But fucking did it, man, because, you know, it's like nothing good comes easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And anything worth it isn't just gonna like fall in your lap.
Exactly, dude. I look at success. I try to look at success from a standpoint of, I'm gonna drag my lazy inner child out today. You know what I mean? I'm gonna grab you and we're going. You know what I mean? Because your brain throws all this stuff at you to try to, you know, keep you safe and keep you comfortable, because that's our brain's job. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a beautiful thing. It can be a beautiful thing or a terrible thing. You know what I mean? It's all about perspective. Like, if I'm going out into the woods and I'm being like, I'm really scared, like, oh, what if a bear popped out? Or what if a bobcat tried to chase me down or something? And that is when your brain is, you know, keeping you safe, and that is good. You know what I mean? But there's also, that can be a double-edged sword, because you can miss out on a lot of life if you listen up here. And so what I try to look at it as is like, okay, you know, this is like kind of a, you know, my negative thoughts pertaining to my goal is kind of like my lazy inner child. Like, I just, you know, oh, it's my day off of school. I just want to sleep until, you know what I mean? It's like, get out of bed. We're going to go do something today.
I want to add that, man, I feel like our thoughts are like our enemy.
Absolutely.
Like, our thoughts do not have our best interest in mind, but I feel like our feelings do.
Yes.
And I've for a while now, I've been kind of trying to steer away from the affirmation I think and replace I think with I feel.
Wow.
And there's the great, well, you can see the evidence in the tarot cards. If you look in the tarot cards, the sword represents air, and air represents our mentality, thoughts, and communication. Mercury or Hermes is the ruling planet of air signs, and that's where that connection kind of comes from. But it's represented by the sword, because we're always in conflict with our mind.
Wow.
And I realized that not too long ago. I mean, this had to have been something I realized within the last year, and I was like, holy shit. And I've been messing with tarot cards for probably like 7 years now.
Nice.
Um, and I love learning about symbolism and stuff like that. I read someone said one time that symbolism is the language of the gods, and symbols transcend time, because one symbol it's like universal. But symbols can be changed too. Like the swastika, for example, was a positive symbol of good luck and fortune and wisdom, and it's a symbol that can be found all over the world in all kinds of ancient societies. But now it's not a positive symbol, and
Right.
I
I
would love for it to be a good symbol,
Yes.
but it's just not anymore.
I
Like, it's
agree.
just-
I just wanted to protect you really quick, bro, and say if there's anybody that watched that and just heard swastika and just like immediately was
Right,
like,
right.
attack this guy, he's racist. Listen to what he said. You know what I mean? Because, bro, instantly when you said that, I was like, somebody's gonna be ridiculous with this. I just wanted to protect you. on
It's
that.
7
I
o'clock.
appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, bro. Yeah.
And people will take things like that, and man, I feel like that's why I just be a ghost a lot of the time. But at the same time, man, I don't give a fuck. Like, I will say some shit, and like people can take it whatever way they want.
Yeah.
I can't control that. And yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, Brandon, for coming on, bro.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
appreciate
Thank you,
man.
Jake, for having me.
Yeah,
too,
of
bro.
course, dude. And I'll have hopefully your website.
Yeah.
I'll have Brandon's website in the link in the description. And I hope everybody takes care out there.
Peace.
Peace.